is heavy and the road is long. You've been holding on, trying to stay strong. Doctors and paperwork, so much to face. But here you found a safer place. You're not alone, we're standing by your side, helping you through every twist in the ride. With knowledge, care, and a voice that's true, the Disability Digest is here for you.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome. We are glad that you've joined us today. And whether you are watching live or catching the replay later, welcome. And as always, we will be setting aside time at the end for questions from our audience. And if something comes to mind as we are talking, feel free to post it in the chat. And we will also be sharing the Zoom link later for any one of you who would like to join us live and ask their question during our Q&A. So for those of you who may be new, my name is Nadine and I work as an advocate here at the Disability Digest. And of course, joining us today is our very own Brian Therrien, founder and CEO of the Disability Digest. So one thing we've learned over the years is that understanding the process helps reduce anxiety. And when people know what's coming next, they're better prepared to respond, avoid common mistakes, and make informed decisions. So whether you're just beginning to think about filing, waiting on a decision, feeling a denial, receiving benefits, or helping a loved one through the process, today's discussion is designed to give you a roadmap of what to expect. So, Brian, I think one of the biggest misconceptions about, from people is that disability journey begins when they submit an application. But in reality, there are important steps someone should take before they ever file. So, can you start by walking us through what people should understand and prepare before submitting a disability application? So,
Mm,
yes, I'm handing it over to you.
thank you. Welcome, everybody. Appreciate that. And one thing that came to mind when you were opening this up is I think it's a famous Chinese proverb. If you want to know what's on the road ahead, ask those on the way back. You ever heard of that one? Something like that? So that's what we're going to share with you today. We're not disability recipients. We're not applicants. We are advocates. We've been doing this for 2 decades, and so we've seen a lot of situations. So you are absolutely right to set the tone about what needs to be done in advance of applying, or even if you're in the application process and you haven't taken care of these critical fundamental steps, then you should, because that's what's going to make the difference between helping you get what you're entitled to or not. So um, I do truly feel that understanding the process and what is required of you to prove is a necessary first step. Most people that pursue their disability benefits through Social Security, or even if they're working and trying to keep their job by getting special accommodations, they get confused between this one key thing, which is the difference between evidence and information. So, information is what most people focus on, and information is the doctor's visits, the diagnoses, general statements about I don't feel well or I'm in pain, and that's not evidence. So that's the biggest thing. And we're gonna walk you through the process of that and what happens as each step of the way if you're not able to work. How do you prepare to apply? What do you do to apply? What happens if you apply and you're not successful and you get denied? What do you do next? If you have to go to a hearing, all the way through to the approval. And then, like Nadine said, you can come on in today and actually ask some questions. Or if you don't want to do that, no worries, you can type them in the chat, right? Did I answer your question? Kind of, sort of, maybe?
Yeah, sort of.
All right. I'm going to go further on this. So let's start with the before you apply. Let's say you're in a situation where you could still be working or you're out of work and you're thinking about applying. I'm going to share my screen here. I have some different segments of our disability approval course um, to share with you today. So here at the Disability Digest, so that you know in advance, we provide a membership that's no cost. And you come into the Disability Digest and you get access to a variety of resources, which commonly you have the opportunity to talk to somebody which is best here so we can understand your situation. Most importantly, your diagnoses, but your limitations so you know how to communicate them. And then you can go through the disability approval course if that's an option for you to get approved. Or if you would like assistance from a representative, either us or one of our partners that we work with us to represent cases through the process as an option as well. But the key is none of that really is going to work unless you understand what to prove and how to get your limitations in. So back to some things that you should do in advance while you're working is you should really look for the warning signs and pay attention to those, because if they come up on you too quickly and you haven't prepared, then you're caught and you don't know what to do. So it's understanding again that road ahead and what your options are for you, and the rules that we talked about. And one of the key things for people that are still employed is what we're going to go through today here with you is really income protection to help you keep your job or to help you get approved if you can't work. But there's also the opportunity to get other income protection from short-term, long-term disability. Make sure that's all in place if your employer offers it, or if you're working independently, it's really good to have that in place so you have some money in the event that you can't work, because this process for Social Security is not there, it's not fast. There isn't anything about Social Security, unfortunately, that is fast unless you consider your first decision in 8 months fast. So just be prepared. I also encourage people to know what their Social Security check amount would be. That's really important on the road ahead. So then you can do some financial planning or even make sure that you qualify. There's some people that have worked that their work situations, they didn't pay into Social Security. The companies don't. They're privately funded, like teachers in California and Texas. Some like fire and police departments don't do that. So make sure that you are eligible for a Social Security disability check before you go through all of the work. Fully 28% of the people that come here to the Disability Digest thinking that they can get disability benefits haven't worked enough, or they fall into that their work situation hasn't paid Social Security. So that's some of the preparation steps to take before you apply for disability benefits. But really, the key thing that I want to focus on before we get going into any of it is, even while you're working, our message and what really makes a difference for people is to understand what to communicate to your doctors. And what I mean by that is your limitations from how you're feeling, from your sickness, from your injury, like in quantifiable measurements, like I can't sit for 15 minutes, can't stand for 20 minutes, not able to sleep more than 4 hours a night, can't be around people for more than 15 minutes, and something triggers and I have anxiety that's really like I have to leave. Um, so if you don't have that and you just communicate that I have anxiety, I have a degenerative disc disease, and my back hurts and I don't sleep well, there isn't any clarity in your medical evidence to allow like to get special accommodations at work or for Social Security to understand the severity of your condition. And also, really hard for doctors to understand how you're feeling if you don't communicate properly. If there's one thing I can share with you that is the most important out of all of this, out of everything that I have done, um, it is that. So always, always, always focus on your limitations. So the next is filing an application. And what I'm going through on the screen right here is our disability approval course. It's a no-cost course. You come in, you speak with an advocate, they understand your conditions, your limitations, and we can oftentimes get you condition information to go with the disability approval course so you know how to communicate with your doctors and then get into the course. And you can manage this all on your own. But the key is with the course and what I'm going through with you is we've been putting this together since we started, which is 2 decades worth of work. It only works if you learn it and apply it. If you just say, I got it, and you don't listen to the interview about how to fill out the forms or how to get doctor support or what to do when you go to your exam, and you don't pay attention to that, it's not going to serve you well. So that's the delicate thing about providing a course to people. You're like, oh my God, I had the course and it didn't work and I got denied. Then you start asking some questions and you figure out why it didn't work. Um, so, all right. So if you're going to apply for disability benefits in this disability approval course for the road ahead, um, the first steps are getting started. And we have them all outlined for you, what to say and do, how to explain that you qualify for benefits, what you need to prove, and I've got a lot to go through today, so I'm giving you the high level view. And even down here, the very last part, it shows you how to complete your initial application, how to take the information from your doctors, from your medications, from your work history, and put it into the Social Security disability system. Now, once you've done that and you hit submit, you have filed your application. And Nadine, I don't know about you, but the conversations I have with people, this is one of the most delicate, sensitive parts where people, unfortunately, I don't know if they're misled or they're confused, like they're done, right?
Mm.
I'm just going to wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
So here's what
Really?
here's what you have done. You have submitted information. I'm going to go back to the top of the call. You haven't submitted any evidence. You've submitted your doctors, your medications, and your work history. None of those communicate that you can't sit, stand, bend, stoop, sleep, any of that. So you're not done yet. So this is where the problem really starts. And Social Security doesn't tell you this. If they did, then you know likely be able to do something else for work. I was thinking the other day, ultimately, the real goal would be to put ourselves out of business here, Nadine. To set this up so that people could go through and actually execute it on their own. And we are good at what we do, and honestly, we go find something else to do. Um, I'd be fine with it. So what you need to do after you apply is, especially if you click that button and submitted your application, is it's evidence, evidence, evidence. Um, and part of that is in the applied and waiting is you're going to get forms to fill out from Social Security. And these forms are really important. And this is an interview in our disability approval course with Attorney Osterhow that walks you through the forms. And the two primary forms are the adult function, which asks you what you can do on a daily basis. Like, do you sweep? Do you clean? Do you do dishes? Do you pay your bills? Do you have pets that you want? Questions like that. How you answer those is really important, which I already said that, but I'm going to say it again because if you don't answer them right, then you're not communicating what you're able to do and not do. And those same questions, if you end up not getting approved at the early stages, are what the judge is going to focus on when you go to a hearing. They do look at these because we've listened to the audio recordings and actually broken down the questions that they ask, and they line up with exactly what's in here. So if you just say, oh, well, they're forms, I'm just going to ink these, get it done, and send it back, you can definitely do that. And you're going to become a statistic, unfortunately, likely. So here at the Disability Digest, part of the course is you listen to the interview, you understand how to fill out the forms. And if you're using a representative or we are your representative, suggest that you send them to them. Say, listen, is this in line with what it needs to be? Um, so that's one of the next steps. I'm just going to recap. You've gone through, you've gotten ready, you decided to apply, you've applied. You submitted your application or somebody's done it for you, and you receive these forms that need to be filled out and sent back in. That's like usually in like the 4 to 6 week range after you apply. Oh, I forgot one step. After you apply, if you apply online, which most do now, you're going to receive a packet in the mail asking you to confirm your initial application information. It's unless there's changes, you just sign it, return it, and send it back. I forgot that step. Okay, Nadine, am I missing anything here?
Yeah. We are following the roadmap so far.
All right. All right. Um, what could happen next is 72% of the people that go through the disability process are sent to an independent medical exam. And that independent medical exam, the directions for it are in step 3 of our disability approval course, and it's not like a regular doctor's appointment. These are doctors hired by Social Security. Their job is to work for Social Security to evaluate your health to make sure it's in line with your medical records. There's 7 tips for these that are in the disability approval course, but I'm going to give you one. Don't go alone. And also, if you're approved for benefits and you go through a benefit review, CDR, which we'll cover in a few moments, same thing. It's the same exam. You don't want to go alone. And the reason for that is you are 1v1. And if they say something that they do or they don't do, you have no way to defend it. So if somebody is with you, and ideally they record it, like with an iPhone or an Android or something like that, actually voice or video record it. Um, Make sure you ask in advance. Most doctors are fine with it. But if you can't, then have them write down step by step, note by note, like what they did. You know, they checked your blood pressure, they checked your eyes, they checked your ears, all the way through. And that one thing will hold them accountable because they will likely know that if they do something that is out of line, that they're going to get called on it. This is super important. So bring an advocate, spouse, friend, family member to all of these Social Security exams. And then you can join the disability approval course to get the other ones. So that's
And I
important.
have I have like a follow-up question, or
Yep.
maybe I'd like to ask for your advice that you can tell people, because a lot of members that I spoke with, they get really anxious whenever they get scheduled for ACE or a doctor's appointment with SSA, because they feel like something is wrong with their application, or they feel like, why would they have to schedule another consultation with me? I've already given them all of my medical records.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
what advice can you give them?
Yeah. Well, they're not wrong to feel like that. I don't. Um, and I'm sure they're going to plenty of doctors if they're doing it right. It's the probably the best thing I can say is it's part of the process. If you're going to go through the disability approval process, you need to understand that I call it a game. You need to play the game till you win the game. And then after you won the game and got approved, you still need to play the game. So that's just understanding the process. Just go there and be prepared. And then one other thing is understand what you can control. And this comes up a lot with people that are already approved. And when we get into CDRs, we'll share some of those concerns with you. But good question, good point. Yep. So here's the numbers for initial applications and people that apply. There's some guy or girl out there that started a rumor that says that everybody gets denied at the initial application, and whoever came up with that, I'd really like to find them. That's not true. So the national average is 36% of applicants get approved at the initial application. So the general numbers are there's 1.9 million people that apply for their disability benefits, and like 687,000 get their benefits approved. These are Social Security numbers. So it's a really significant gap. And that gap is not because people, in my experience, medically don't qualify. That's not it. There's a lot of people that have all of the medical like severity of it. The gap is because they don't have it communicated properly in their medical records, and Social Security cannot like connect with it. There isn't anything in there to do that. So if you're still thinking I've got a diagnosis, we'll probably have questions at the end of this. People have listened to this and going to say I got XYZ. It's just really tough to get people to consistently understand that it is what you cannot do. But then when you look at it, like if we work internally with an applicant and we go through and we coach them and, we're their disability representatives and they know what to say and do and they do everything all the way through. The numbers are significantly different. They're not 100%, but they're pretty darn close. So the difference is what? Knowing what to do, doing the right steps. So, and you can do that with the course, like I said at the beginning. So that's the reality of it. So initial application, what to do, what to expect. We're going to talk about it if something doesn't go right at the initial application, and you get denied. Okay. So if you get denied your disability benefits, in all except 10 states, you can appeal it. And it's called the reconsideration stage. Let me correct myself. You can appeal it at any state. It's just the difference is in 10 states, you don't have this reconsideration phase. You go direct to a hearing. And at the reconsideration stage, what you are doing is you're asking Social Security to review your case. And I'm just making sure that's waiting. I want to get over there. Okay. Uh, to review your case because you believe you can't work and they made a mistake. You should think about that. You're asking them to review. I think they should do away with this whole step because the approval rate at it is dismal. It's like 11.7% nationally. So what happens is typically it goes into somebody in the same office that's got to review somebody else's work that did on this application that might sit two desks down for them and say, hey, you know what? Maybe they didn't do that right. That's my opinion, and others that do this work why it's not effective. But you have to go through it if you are denied, and it is the option in your state. So there's certain things that you want to review in your denial letter. Like, did they get all the medical records? You also want to review and see, are your conditions marked properly? What marked means is like your doctor has a condition like depression that's severe. And conditions are either mild, moderate, or severe. But it says in your denial letter, we understand that you have mild depression. Well, it's not mild, it's severe. It's in the medical records, so they missed it. So that gives you some leverage. That look at missing evidence and other things that weren't put in there. It's common that Social Security doesn't get the medical records so that they need, and they just make a decision based on what they have. So if you're managing your own case, one of the things that you need to make sure you stay on top of is, hey, did you get all the medical records? Talk to your caseworker. Or if you're using a representative, that's their task. Make sure all those medical records are getting filled into the file. All right, so that's reconsideration. A few tips for you. You have 60 days to file that appeal. If it's reconsideration or if it's not, then it goes on to a hearing. So if your reconsideration is denied, which most are, then you request a hearing in front of a judge. I'm going to go back through the time frames of all these in a minute. Nadine, if I forget, remind me. like how long it takes. And then you request a hearing in front of a administrative law judge, a Social Security judge. And that is a process that I encourage people to do everything you can possibly do to not go there. Because you can have a great case, be deserving, and you can end up with a judge that has an approval rate of like 19%, like in some of the courts in Texas, versus others that have a 55, 60, 70% approval rate. So it's just like you need to be basically have a terminal illness for some of these. And it's one of the biggest, like, it's so unfair that it's the same regulations. It's just how people interpret them. And it's just not fair. So do what you can to avoid a hearing. And people say, like, I'm just going to try it and then I'll get somebody to fix it and clean it up. Uh, that's tough. Because you could be in line for nothing. Right? Because a good attorney can't win a bad case. That's really what it comes down to. And if you want to go to court alone, you would be the eighth person that I've met in 2 decades that's, interested in doing that. It's just that's one area where I would say definitely do not go to court alone in front of a judge. It's different language, it's different terminology. Initial application and reconsideration, the course works fine, but um, that's that's my take. Okay, so hearing and the approval rates at a hearing I talked about. So now let's talk about the time frame to get through this process, right? If you submit your initial application, then the average decision time nationally now is 233 days. Texas and Florida are the winners and the longest wait. Some states are better than that, but that's just the national average. So if you think you're going to get a quick decision, um, be great if you did, but chances are no. I'd plan on if you're not in Texas or Florida or California, it could be a little less. Some exceptions, if you're a veteran with a 100% P&T rating from the VA, then they do have a fast track process. The only thing that does is get you a decision quicker. It doesn't give you any preference because of your rating. As a matter of fact, those cases are really hard to win for disability benefits. Um, so that's it. And if you have a reconsideration step in your state, I would plan on the same amount of time as it took you for your initial application. So if it's Texas and Florida, plan on 233 days or whatever it is in other states. Um, it just takes that, because that work is being done in the same office. It had the same backlog to do your initial decision. And then the hearings actually have been flowing pretty good. For the most part, the hearings are like 12 months or less. And it used to be like 2 years at points when I've been doing this work. And after COVID, a lot of the judges now most of the hearings are done remote, which is the best way in our experience to do them for a variety of reasons. And so that's allowed the workflow to be much better. Um, so yeah, back to the hearing thing. You can do them in person, you can do them via video, but for phone, the reason why we prefer that is it's about medical evidence. Again, they're looking at what is in your medical records and looking at somebody across the room. It's not something that they would base a decision on. And so that's one. And two, for us, it allows us to get access to some of the best attorney, non-attorney representatives that do hearings if we have to have cases that go there. So those are some of the reasons why. um, so the whole thing about hiring somebody local used to be they'd know the judge, they'd do a lot of hearings, they'd be in a rhythm. I don't see that as a value add anymore, because even if a judge in your local area could be doing hearings, likely is in a larger region or national pool. So you get denied at a hearing. Hopefully you don't. We're going to cover that in a minute. But if you do, you have the opportunity to appeal. It's called the Appeals Council. And that's sending it back to the judge because something has been done wrong. It's not an opportunity to add additional evidence. It's an opportunity to have that case reviewed like the reconsideration stage was. Um, and the approval chances there are like they're low in single digits. And then the next level is if it gets denied at appeals council, you can have that case go on to the federal court. So it leaves Social Security, and you basically you're suing the federal court saying the Social Security Administration system did not work, and here's why. The appeals council and the federal appeals is highly specialized legal work. There's like a handful of people that do it well, and they need to do a lot of it and do it well that are effective. Um, and if you get to that stage, the reality of it is like, you have to really look at what the win rate is for the team that takes your case if they do take it. Make sure they've done a lot of it. You should be doing this at every level of having somebody help you, but especially here, make sure that they're experienced in doing appeals counsel and federal appeals. All right, so that brings us up to the end of the disability approval process and the next step we're going to cover. As for those of you that get approved or are approved, right? Unless there's anything that you can think of, Nadine, to add.
No, I think it might be like it might look like it's the last part of the process getting approved, but we all know there's more after that, right? And we want to hear more about that.
Yeah. So once you're approved, you have this award letter and you celebrate. And I encourage people not to have this set it and forget it because 133,000 people a year lose their benefits, oftentimes for things that they could prevent that we'll discuss here with you. So review your award letter. Make sure that the monthly check and your back benefits are all in line with what you are entitled to. And there's some other nuances that you should be aware of. And here at the Disability Digest, what we do with those that we work with to get approved, and we offer to some of our members, is a benefit review where you can come in, fill out a form, enter your information, or if we've worked with you as a client to get your benefits approved, we already have it. And so we'll make sure that your award amount is correct, your back benefits are correct, and then help you understand what you're entitled to going forward. One of the biggest areas of questions is for Medicare. And a lot of people didn't even know that they're Medicare eligible. So all Social Security recipients, whether you're a disability recipient or full retirement, are eligible for Medicare. With disability, it's 24 months after the date that you were found disabled. So if you applied a year after you've been out of work and they found that you were disabled, and then it took you a year to get approved, so that's the 2 years in concept, you would be eligible for your Medicare. And Medicare is good coverage. There's decent options in most area. Um, it's usually more affordable for most than it would be to do the Cobra option. So with a benefit review, one, your amount that you're receiving and what you're entitled to, and then we help you understand what your Medicare options are for coverage and can introduce you to different plan options and how all that works and simplify, hopefully, the next steps for you for your healthcare coverage. One of the areas where people need to be really concerned about is the Medicare premiums that you are subject to. So if you are new to Medicare, your Medicare Part A, there's no charge. Medicare Part B is $202 and something cents. And that is a mandatory part that comes out of your Social Security disability check amount. So if you get approved, the average check is $1,710 here, then you're going to have that $202 taken out, and it's a pretty big hit, right? So here's the important part. For many people that have a check that is below that $1,710, you can get the state your local state to pay for your Medicare Part B premium so you don't have the $202 taken out. So when you go through a benefit review, we help you understand all of the things and then give you some feedback on if you would be eligible to have the state pay for that. Now, in my example of $1,710, that's considering that you're single, you're not married, because if you're married, your spouse is working, that income will likely push you out of that assistance zone. So those are some of the key things. Now, one thing I do want to point out where people are vulnerable that are disability recipients is they have this set it and forget it mentality where they get on benefits, put their award letter away, you know, and they get on their healthcare and Medicare coverage, and then they don't review it. And your benefit check amount doesn't change for the most part. You get a cost of living increase that, that's 3 to 8%. But your healthcare coverage changes like every year, especially if you're on a Medicare Advantage plan, which most here are, like 98% of disability recipients are. And so those change and they commonly get better. But if you're on an older program and you don't review it and you don't know what's coming up next and what the other alternatives are, then you're missing out on benefits. So about 30% of people review their healthcare annually, and they should review it every year to understand their options. That can make a big difference for you. All right, we have a few more to wrap up. You want to give a shout out for Q&A coming up, Nadine?
Sure. We do have a couple of questions here from the chat, but I'll also be posting a Zoom link in the chat for anyone who would like to join us live and ask their questions directly. And I'm doing that just now.
Great. Great.
Okay.
Now, one of the key things I'm looking for it here, if you're a disability recipient and they're like, oh my God, $1,710 a month, that's an average. I don't know what your check amount is, but most people, whatever their check amount is, they look at it and they're like, how's that going to work? So you can work when you're a disability recipient and you can make money every month. And keep your benefits if you stay within the allowed amount. So I'm going to talk about that first. Big proponent of doing something. If you're not able to work at all, then just doing something to find your purpose is really important for people. We do a lot of work and we've done live events on this, but for today, it is $1,210 a month is the amount you can make every month, stay below that, and keep your benefits. My advice is to stay like in the $800 range. And here at the Disability Digests, we have had people working here that are disability recipients since 2007, right after we started. And we've had individuals here every month. And so we know that that regulation works. People still get their benefits reviewed, yes, but earning that amount is totally fine. By the way, we do have openings. So if you are a member at the Disability Digest and working here and supporting these efforts, something that's of interest and earning some money, helping others out, then ask us and we'll send you the application. So that is the working part. If you have a desire to work more, then great. There's other options that are available, like trial work period, ticket to work. But what I encourage people to do is do something on a limited basis, 15 hours a week, make $700-800 a month. Do that, put your body to the test and like, oh, check, I can do that. What's next? Okay. So that's the working part. All of this is in place, the things that we've covered up until you reach your full retirement age. And when you reach full retirement age, you're no longer a disability recipient. You're now a retirement benefit recipient. And what that means is you're not subject to disability reviews, which I'm going to cover with you in a moment. And you're not subject to those earning limitations that I just shared with you. But from the time that you receive your disability benefits until your full retirement, you are subject to a review, which is covered in the award letter that you get that I encourage you to read. And for some, it's every year you're going to be reviewed, especially if you're approved and you're under 50. For others, it may be every 5 to 7 years, but Social Security has the right to review your benefits to make sure that you are still have met the criteria, that you have conditions, they're being treated, and you have limitations that prevent you from working. Here is where people are vulnerable. They stop their treatment, right? And you get a continuing disability review and they ask you for your doctors. I haven't been going to the doctors. Oh, interesting, right? All they're looking for is an opportunity. So staying in treatment, not just staying in treatment, but following the directions that we provided at the beginning to communicate your limitations is what you can do and control so that you can keep your benefits and you don't become one of those 133,000 that lose their benefits. So it's stopping treatment, and earning too much is the other thing that people do. They go over the allowed amount and they don't know the regulations. So I've covered both things here for you, and hopefully that they hit home. Before we get into Q&A, I want to cover the common mistakes that people make and then the biggest mistake that people make. The common mistakes are people wait too long before they take action and apply, and they are optimistic that they can go back to work, or they go through, different jobs that are decompensation, earning less and less and less, and their check erodes and they're not eligible for one anymore. It's horrific because really then you have to fall into the welfare zone for any type of support, which is like 800 and something dollars a month in Medicaid. So if you've been out of work and can't go back to work, you need to really be honest with yourself if you want to protect yourself and your family. Filing without understanding the rules, not knowing where you're going and listening to your brother-in-law who says everybody gets denied anyway, just go ahead and submit your application. It's very dangerous. So poor communication with your doctor, not understanding how to communicate effectively to your doctor with what you're experiencing for limitations, because then you just have, call it generic medical records with appointments, diagnosis, and your medications. Some people miss deadlines. I've had people that have had their mail going to another address and they haven't checked it and they've missed it. They have voicemail screening systems, voicemails or phone screening systems, voicemail that's not set up, voicemail that gets full and they don't get, Social Security actually calls you when you're going through the application process. And they don't have a representative, they're managing their own case, so gets denied. Stopping treatment, I covered that one. And the working without understanding the rules and is another thing. So those are some of the common ones. The biggest mistake is understanding the difference between information and evidence. That is by far, hands down, the biggest mistake. And we'll probably get some comments here where people say, I've got degenerative disc disease, I've torn rotator cuff, and do you think I can qualify for disability benefits? That's the way it is. All right. So final advice, understand what's on the road ahead, understand what you need to communicate and to your doctors and to your work if you want to get special accommodations and to Social Security so that you can get what you're entitled to. I hope you find value in this. And let's see what we have for some questions today.
All right. Thank you so much, Brian, for all those valuable information that you've shared today. I'm sure a lot of people, a lot of our audience have been enlightened on how they should start with their application. So, just a reminder to those of you who wants to come and join us live, I shared the link. It's in the chat, so just uh, join us through that link so that we can have a chat with you here.
Yep.
So while we wait for someone to join us, we got a couple of questions here from the chat. One is from Paul Pueblo. I got 100% disability, and now they want to send me to a second IME. What should I do? I have two workers' compensation cases, one for my back and one for my right shoulder.
Yeah. One, understand the difference between what you just communicated as information, and the second one is for evidence. And with the VA especially is super dangerous in leading people to believe that if a VA rating is 100% P&T, that it has some influence in a positive way on your disability benefits. And here's where the challenge is. A few of them. Is the way VA documents medical visits is, I call it generic. And you can go in and look at your blue book or whatever you refer to it as, your portal, and it's going to just track your diagnosis and your treatments. And when you attempt to communicate limitations, it's been very difficult. Like less than 5% of the vets that we've worked with have been able to get them into the medical records. It's just their protocol. It's different than civilian. Um, so it's that's what you need to overcome is get out of the mindset of I've got this, it should work over here, rather than what I need to do to get in to the Social Security program. Um, so that's what you've got to overcome. In addition to that, there's some other barriers with the VA is they don't fill out any supporting documentation like medical source statements or residual functional capacity report statements that a doctor would fill out confirming that you're treated, what your opinion is on their limitations, and most importantly, how many days of work that you would miss on a monthly basis. So the best advice that I give veterans, if you want to get approved, get civilian care because civilian care will document that. They'll document your limitations. They'll do the paperwork. Yeah, you got to pay for it, but you have to look at the cost benefit analysis. If your check is $2,000 a month for disability benefits, 24,000 a year, and you're going to get 10 years of benefits before you could even get any Social Security. And what's it like for you to get like some primary care and maybe one other civilian care? I don't know. I don't have the answer. But you could probably do that for like $400-500 a month for, until you get approved. Then you can get Medicare and you get it all taken care of. So
Yeah. Thanks for that, Brian. That's a very good piece of advice because a lot of people who are VA disability recipients, they would usually think that, the thousand of pages of medical records they have at a VA is sufficient to get approved for
well,
SSA.
and thank you for bringing that up because that's one of the other things. So most veterans, especially if you're 100% P&T, they've got stacks of medical records. Now think about a Social Security examiner. They're overworked. They've got a time limit. They have cases to approve and deny. And when they look at the massive file that has what I just referenced in there, they don't see what they need.
Yeah. Okay. So next question from the comment. I've been denied again, and now I have to wait 6 months for a phone hearing with a judge and attorney. What are the odds of coming out of this with my benefits? That would make it 2 years waiting now.
I hope they're good, but based on the limited amount of information, I don't know your age. I don't know your medical. I don't know what evidence you have. Really hard um, to do that. If you're using, mention an attorney, right, Nadine?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
said. Yeah.
I, I would I would go back to somebody that can see all of the information that you have available. And I'd ask them, say, one of the questions I encourage people to say is, how are you going to prove that I'm not able to work and I qualify? And what are the chances of being successful? Like with my age, with my work history, with my limitations, and the evidence in file, things like that. That's where you're going to get a better answer.
All right. Next question. I was just approved for my disability benefits. I wanted to know, how often should I expect a CDR?
Um,
A
in your
very
award,
famous question.
yeah, in your award letter, it may say, it doesn't in all of them. And if it doesn't say in all of them, then you can call, but I encourage you to just be prepared for like every 3 to 5 years. If it was me and I was a disability recipient, I would just control what I would be able to control, which is going to the doctors, right?
Yeah.
Recording my limitations and understanding that at some point in time, I will likely get a CDR. Tough for people, I know. Or you can call, you can get on the phone. And I know people that have done this that have been approved for years. They're like, I haven't received my CDR. Oh, don't worry. We'll get right to
Getting
you. Yeah,
Yeah, but I think you're right. Like just being prepared all the time, just making sure that you go to all your treatments, following all of your doctor's orders. It removes the anxiety. Like you can CDR me anytime because I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, right?
exactly. I think Attorney Brown says don't poke the bear or something like that. He's got
Yeah.
some saying.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Another question here. If I'm filing for initial application, can I proactively submit all medical records instead of waiting for SSA to request for it?
Yes, you can. There's different strategies to do that, and you absolutely can. Just make sure that you have all of them. And for 24 months, go back. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Those are all the questions that I have for now, Brian.
Great. Great. That's good. Well, I hope everybody's enjoyed this event, found some value out of it. And if you have, know somebody that would benefit from understanding the road ahead, share it. Yeah. Um, and here at the Disability Digest, if you are not familiar with our membership and how it works, this is our website. Nadine will put it in the link there. The membership, there's no cost for the membership. We are sponsored by, we have sponsors and we have services that we provide. So it allows us to offer this membership. It's been that way since we started. We are for profit, and but what we provide with a membership is, if you're going through the disability approval process and you register, you commonly get assigned to an advocate that you can communicate with. Oftentimes get on the phone, they can understand your conditions, limitations, again, help you craft those to Social Security and get you into the right section of the disability approval course. There's 5 different segments of it. It's not a one size fits all, and nor is getting somebody into the disability approval course because they don't understand their limitations. So that's one of the things that we do. In addition to that, we have support groups. We have 24/7 digital assistants. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, oh my God, I want to know how much money I can make, you can do that. And then you get invites to certain events like this that really would align with you. And we're here. When you get approved, then we adjust your membership to helping you understand like what you're entitled to, how to protect your benefits going forward. So you have one place where you can get your benefits and keep your benefits. So that resonates with you or somebody you know, come on in, the Disability Digest, click the green button, fill out your profile, and we welcome you, right?
All right.
We are going to be back in 2 weeks with our next live event, and we have a special event with an expert in brain health. So people that
Wow.
oftentimes have a sickness or an injury, they develop like some impact and may not even know about it.
Mm.
That impacts how they interact with their family, or if they're still working, they're workers, all the way through. So Mary Jean Alice will be back in 2 weeks for that special event. So I encourage you to bookmark it, bookmark it, and come on back. All right, Nadine,
All right.
thank you for your
Thank you
assistance
so
today.
much.
Yes. All right, everybody. God bless you. Make it a great day. Until the next time.
See y'all next time. Bye.